Good morning, everyone. Welcome. Great to have you here. Please come on forward and find your seat if you could. My name is Eric Roges, and I'm on staff here as Executive Pastor of Rolling Hills Community Church, and it is truly our privilege to host you. We love being a part of this community and are so glad you could be here today. If you would join me, I would like to ask a prayer of blessing on our meeting today. All right, let's pray. Our good and gracious Heavenly Father, we come before you today recognizing that you are the author of all good things. Every good and perfect gift comes from your hand, and you've created us in your image. You are 3 in 1, and your community by definition, and you've created us in your image to be in community, and we are so blessed to be able to be in a community like this one right here in Williamson County. And Lord, I just pray for the leaders here. I pray for our mayors. I pray for just for you to do a mighty work in and through these people, these individuals, this community, and allow us to be unified, allow us to be forward-looking, and allow us to be looking to you. And we ask all this in the precious name of Jesus. Amen.
Thank you so much, Eric. I heard it was a beautiful sunrise this morning, Patrick, but I didn't get to see it because I was here too early.
I saw it. It was beautiful.
But now I hear it might be raining. Is it raining outside?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Yep.
It's coming, though.
We needed some rain.
It's coming, though. But everybody move on up and come up and get your seats, and we'll get started this morning. We've got an exciting program that I think will get you really plugged in or connected. Ha, 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 ha.
I see. I see what you did there, Mindy. We're talking broadband. The crowd went wild.
Yeah, I don't think they're listening to us. I think there's nobody out there. Oh well, we'll just keep going. We've got a crowd here this morning. We know we've got some people watching this through our internet, through our connection, our website, streaming it on our website and on social media channels. So we appreciate that. But we'll get everybody to come on up, grab another cup of coffee or biscuit, and come up and have a seat so we can get started. Thanks so much to our friends at Pinnacle Financial Partners, who've been the presenting partner for Breakfast with the Mayors for several years. This is the last Breakfast with the Mayors for 2022, but we'll be back the last Tuesday in January. That's always the last Tuesday
in January.
I tried to explain it to somebody earlier that Breakfast with the Mayors is always the last Tuesday of the first month of the quarter. That's really not a great way to explain it.
So the best way to find out about all Franklin Tomorrow events is franklintomorrow.org, no matter what time of year, no matter what month or the last week of the quarter.
Yeah,
franklintomorrow.org. You can see all of our events updated, and you can even download like a calendar, into your calendar. It's really fancy.
You can download into your calendar, and also follow us on social media. Then we also post all of our programs on our YouTube channel, so people can go back and watch them if they're having trouble sleeping or something like that. So yeah. But thanks to Pinnacle Financial Partners, and you thank a couple
Williamson
people.
Medical Center. So thank you, Williamson Medical Center, for your sustaining.
They've got some really great giveaways at their table today, like
they have some
jar
good giveaways.
Openers and Kindness Matters jar openers and hand sanitizer and mints, which may come in handy for me later.
So thank you for being a sustaining partner of Williamson Medical. We appreciate it. The crane is up over there. Progress going on in your county hospital. So
yes,
I look forward to hearing more about that.
More for you close to home.
More for you close to home.
So we really appreciate the support they offer us. Our friends from Patterson, Hardy, and Ballantyne, certified public accountants, Williamson Memorial Funeral Home, Hazen and Sawyer, Gresham Smith, which is here today with their booth, and then the Williamson County Association of Realtors. And thanks to Puckett's for the biscuits this morning. I heard everybody was raving this morning how good breakfast was. And the Good Food Group, which is your local McDonald's, for allowing us to have coffee this morning. We always appreciate coffee.
Yeah.
Very much so on a morning like this. So there's early voting going on right now. We want to remind people about that.
It is, and I think the list of early voting locations is on the county website. And I know the one down here on Downs for sure. The rec centers, certain ones are open, so
Right.
check their website for those locations.
Right, and
Through
there are obviously federal and state races on the ballot, but also there are some municipal races, and some of our smaller Williamson County cities are having races for city offices, and so we want to encourage people to study those. And then there are 4 constitutional amendments.
Read them before you go.
Read them before you go. They are
that could take a
summarized, but
while.
read them before you go.
Read 'em
But
before you
early
go.
voting continues, I think, through November 2nd or 3rd. I can't remember. November 3rd. So please get out and vote and be engaged in your community. So we'll be back here at Rolling Hills in a couple weeks for our 16th annual, I was trying to remember what year, 16th annual Exemplary Community Volunteer Awards. And we would love to encourage people to, tickets will go on sale for that later this week. And we're actually really deciding whether they're going to be on sale or we're just going to offer the opportunity for you to come and join us and learn about the great stuff that's happening in our community from other nonprofit organizations and in neighborhoods and individuals. It's really rewarding.
This is one of my favorite programs we do every year at Franklin Tomorrow. And I think if you've ever been to one, or if you go back and watch an old one on YouTube, or if you come and view, you really get to see the heart of this community. And really, the award, the recipients are so thankful, but what is so heart-filling really is hearing all the nominees and the things that are happening. It's just really amazing. It's a really unique thing about this community, the way people give back. And please make plans to watch it online on our website, or attend right here. And we will have that information on our website and social media here shortly.
All right, it's November 15th, and it'll be starting at 6 o'clock. We'll have some snacks and refreshments, and would encourage people to come. It won't last more than 2 hours. Another part of it that's really important and moving is an in memoriam service that we conduct during that, which honors individuals who have been a big part of our community but have passed away in the last year. And thanks to Williamson Memorial Funeral Home, they'll be honored in a special way. Last year we were able to give a book in honor of each of those individuals to the Williamson County Public Library, and I think that's just a great way that their legacy lives on, and it's a really important part of the program. So thanks so much, Patrick.
Thank you.
All right, great. Excuse me if I clear my throat. I've got a little bit of a cold this morning, so, but I will make it through this. Let's just say I will make it through this. I'm going to call Rogers up, and then we'll bring our guest up in a minute. But come on up, Rogers. It's actually breakfast with the mayor today, the big mayor, right? The big mayor, little mayor. I'm not saying anything about you.
You're on your own.
No, I mean, gosh. Maybe that's why Ken's not here. No, Mayor Moore is not here because he's out for a couple weeks with a knee replacement. So he did send a video message, though, and then he said he would turn it over to you. So let's play the mayor's message.
Good morning, and I'm sorry I can't be at breakfast with the mayors with you today. But I did want to weigh in on technology and just have a few comments before our speakers today. First of all, I agree with Mayor Anderson that the competitive edge that we need for the future is to make sure everybody in Williamson County and in our cities have broadband access. We're already seeing how important it is for our school children and schools, but also we're seeing how important it is for our companies who are now working under hybrid systems where they have to have internet access on those days that they're not working in the office. But I wanted to also say a few words just about how the city of Franklin is preparing. The city already has a fiber loop all around the city, and most all of our signals are already accessed with fiber. We have many cameras that are intersections, and we've done many things already and planning for the future to make sure that we are part of that technology movement that is growing so rapidly so that we can better serve our citizens. Whether this has to do with your trash pickup, or whether it has to do with moving you around the city, or whether it has something to do with maybe autonomous vehicles in the future. We're continuing to work on that. We already have adaptive signal control, which is advanced technology, and we look forward to working with the state, Tennessee Department of Transportation, and the Transportation Policy Board in the future to look at smart corridor for I-65 coming south. So enjoy the program this morning, and Mayor Anderson, it's all up to you now. Thanks a lot.
See, I'd seen that before. I knew it was all up to you now. But it is your breakfast with the mayor this morning. So do you have anything before we start our program to tell us about what's going on in the county or anything?
So first of all, let me say thanks to Ken. This is the first show that I've ever been without the services of Ken, and I do wish him a speedy recovery on his knee. Today's program, you touched on some of the highlights, Mindy, and I'll let you do the introduction, but today's program is really a result of something that started about 3 years ago. And in the pandemic, that period of time that we were isolated and couldn't get out, our children couldn't learn the way they needed to be having that education brought to them, and it was really brought to the forefront out in the unincorporated parts of our county. In that our children just weren't able to get their homework assignments, and they were having to come back into the municipalities or into some areas that had spots. And shortly after that, I met with our two speakers that came here, and we had this very frank and open and honest discussion about we need to improve broadband in our community, and you'll see that today with Middle Tennessee Electric and United Communications. I think it's important also that through the efforts of some federal dollars that have been released and through state dollars, these gentlemen will talk about that, Mindy, that we're able to begin that process of what I'm trying to determine to be Williamson County needs to be the best community, connected community that we possibly can be. And we're making strides on that. Although these gentlemen today will not be talking about the cell coverages, you will see over the next few months through our county commission's approval. Paul Webb is here represents us on our rescue funds. He's also a county commissioner, is working hard to fulfill and drive that model to have a better communications through all of Williamson County. And so I'm excited about this. Thanks for hosting this. I know normally we try to get cities and counties, and there is some city involvement here, but most of this show will be about the unincorporated area.
But that's an important part of our community because so many people, while they may work in our cities, but they are living all across Williamson County and Middle Tennessee, right? And so it's really an economic engine that has a lot of other impacts as well.
It's not just schools. It's men and women working from home. It's men and women living, and as the technology improves in our homes, many of you already use apps to turn your heating and cooling units on and our appliances on. And my neighbor just recently, she left her garage door open. She's in another county, a couple of counties over. I called her, and she says, "Oh, I'll close it. Thanks for letting me know." And so she just hit a button, and apparently she blamed it on her husband, and she took care of it.
I know who that was, I think, but okay. Well, thanks so much, Rogers. Have a seat there, and we'll bring up our speakers for this morning. This morning we've got with us Chris Jones, who's the president of Middle Tennessee Electric, our service provider for most of us, and William Bradford, the CEO of United Communications. Welcome, guys. Have a seat. So I'm gonna be that citizen for a minute here, and I'm gonna ask you all a question. When I started researching this topic, I thought I knew what broadband was. I thought I knew. I thought it was just it's internet. That's what it is. But it's kind of like it's more than that. Broadband is it's the service or the ability for service. But explain the difference. It's not just internet.
Great. Thanks, Mindy, and thanks for having us here. Yeah, for us, broadband is a way of life. And as you think about it, when Middle Tennessee Electric, decided to acquire United Communications and make a huge investment in this digital infrastructure, it was really about serving the members, right? So all the things that are happening over the internet, right? And as you think about it, it was really, those demands and needs were accelerated when the pandemic hit. And, in early March of 2020, we didn't miss a day. We were installing customers every day because the needs, and you'll hear in our presentation, the needs for telehealth, the needs for just streaming and surfing, the needs to learn online and to work online really, really accelerated. And we're glad to be a part of the solution, and especially in Williamson County.
And Chris, Middle Tennessee Electric has been a trusted service provider here in Williamson County for so many years, and
86.
86 years. Wow, that's really great. So this partnership between Middle Tennessee Electric and United Communications made sense for y'all because of really being a trusted service provider.
Yeah, that's part of it, Mindy, and we'll flash up a slide in a moment that speaks to our purpose. And our purpose, our mission is about delivering electricity, but our purpose is about making life better for those we serve. And so this, so this effort related to broadband was much more an issue that spoke to our purpose. Obviously, it's not about electricity; it's about broadband. But as probably 15 years ago, in the position I was at that time as Vice President of Communications and Member Services, I remember getting calls from members who were in the rural areas at that time just saying, hey, can you help us with internet? And again, that was 15 years ago. And at that time we said, well, we'd love to, but we really can't. The state law was prohibitive from allowing us to enter that business space. So, and we'll talk more about that in a moment, but people were calling us because we are a service organization. That's who we are at our essence. We are community servants. The primary commodity we happen to distribute is electricity, but we're all about service. So I think you're right, Mindy, in that regard.
I'll let you keep that one and see if we can maybe get this one replaced because it's coming in and out. But let's launch into your presentation because there is a lot of information there, and then maybe we'll have some more questions after we get started. And I think somebody has the clicker, but can I get this mic replaced, please?
We're going to start? Okay, well, we'll start with, is that not the clicker? We have too much technology up here. So there we go. Well, let me start by saying it's just an honor to be here, first of all. And William and I, we work together, we serve together. Again, at the essence, we're both service organizations, and I look across the crowd here, understanding that I probably send every one of you a bill every month. So but my apologies for that. But yeah, at the end of the day, we provide a vital service, and we were talking earlier about how dependent we've become on technology, and that's where things are going. And we understand that if folks are without their electricity for just a little while, things get concerning. So we want that power to be on all the time, and we work really hard to do that. I want to start, if I could, though, by saying that we have a number of our teammates in the audience today. I know that from Middle Tennessee Electric, Chuck Barber, who a number of you know, and Todd Palmer are here. I believe I saw Dale Merritt. So, guys, thank you for being here. A number of your teammates from United are here. So at the end of the presentation today, please come up and ask us questions. We're here to serve you. Our power partner, Justin Meyerhofer from TVA, is here. Justin. Again, we are honored to be here with you today and honored to serve you every day. But I'm not going to read all the stuff that's on the slide. There's some stats there. But again, I want to point to the first line, if I'm reading it correctly, or the second, that says, that speaks to purpose. And our purpose is about making life better for those we serve, or business better for those we serve. And that's what motivates and drives us. And again, what led us ultimately to the decision that we made to enter the broadband business. And we'll speak to that more in just a moment. But when it comes to electricity, delivering affordable, reliable electricity, by any measure, we're doing a good job. We need to get better every day, and we work to get better every day. But our rates are about 25% below the national average. Our member satisfaction is at excellent levels. We want to get better. We're in the top 15% according to J.D. Power. We want to get in and stay in the top 10%, and we're working toward that. So we're both working every day to get better and to live out that purpose, in particular by the services that we provide. We are unusual by electric co-op standards. We are a not-for-profit electric co-op owned by the members we serve, which are all of you. So we're here to serve you, but we're large by electric co-op standards. So there are about 900 electric co-ops across the country, and we are the second largest in the United States in the number of customers we serve, or members we serve. And we are the largest when it comes to electric sales. So that gives us some unique scale, of course, and by virtue of the area we serve, which you see on the screen there, primarily Williamson, Rutherford, Wilson, and Cannon counties. We bleed over into some other ones, but you draw a border around that service territory. We serve 100% within that area. So we have efficiency, economies of scale, and it gave us financial strength and stability ultimately to make the decisions that we made. And we make those decisions through our board of directors, who are elected by our members. And I know we have at least one board member with us today, and that's Ann Little. She's right back there. We may have others. But the directors are elected by you, the membership, and that's who guide the decisions of the cooperative. But back to that history, if I could, real quick, Mindy, that led us to where we are today. So, again, state law prohibited electric cooperatives from being in the broadband business space. And that changed 5 years ago, thanks to the leadership of then Governor Bill Haslam and the legislators in place. They saw the wisdom of opening the doors to electric co-ops because of the infrastructure, because of the areas we serve, to say, we have a problem in Tennessee, just like there's a problem across the country, with people in rural areas that can't get a service that's becoming as vital as electricity was in the 1930s. So state law changed to allow us to enter into that broadband business space. And in doing so, it gave us some opportunities and put some decisions on the table for us to consider. And prime of which was, okay, if we're going to get into this business, we chose we were going to do it because there were so many of our members that were saying, please help us. We were going to do it, so how do we do it? And we had a number of options in front of us, but the clearest option that we had, and of course, you remember conversations we had well before we ultimately made the decision we did, but I'm thankful that we had a fairly easy decision, and that's because of United Communications and the great work they do, the great team they have. William, when you and your business partner purchased that company several years ago, began to make investments in fiber, began to show some momentum to innovative thought. We saw that. A small telecommunications company that had been there for a long time doing great things in our backyard. So we said, let's get together. Let's get together, let's work together, let's use our efficiencies to solve this problem. So we began to do that, and that's been about 4 years ago. We've gained a lot of ground. As of today, thousands of Middle Tennessee Electric members who didn't have broadband before have it now. We have a lot of work left to do. William's going to talk about that in just a moment, but we're going to solve this for everybody. Everybody in our service territory will have not just internet, but world-class internet, or the capacity to choose to have it. And so we're thankful for that. and for the relationship we have with United Communications. I guess that's a good segue, William, now to turn to you and have you to talk more particularly about something we call Project Unite and this effort that we are making towards solving this problem.
Yeah, thanks, Chris. And I've got to give Chris a compliment. It's great working for a humble leader. He won't tell you, but as we make the rounds, I mean, you hear a lot about economic development, recruiting large businesses to Williamson County. And the truth is, this is a billion-dollar company right in our backyard that has grown into be one of the largest electric cooperatives, the second largest in the country. And as we think about making an impact in our community, we want to make a big impact. And that's the way we think at this organization. And my challenge, and as Chris says, we think we need to spend about $500 million to bring service to every single member, but we've got to do it in a way that does not result in an increase in rates, because that's one of the top priorities for Middle Tennessee Electric, is ensure we maintain our competitive advantage and our leadership position in low electric rates in the region. And so it's really, really exciting to be able to work with counties, with municipalities, and with the state of Tennessee, and even some of the federal programs to bring grant dollars to make this very affordable. So Project Unite is our very intentional effort when we partnered with Middle Tennessee Electric. The goal of Project Unite is to ensure every single Middle Tennessean who lacks access to broadband gets it. We know it's a critical component of infrastructure now, and I know a lot of these meetings are about what's the future of Williamson County, what's the future of Franklin. And for many years, a lot of it was about traditional infrastructure. How do we get roads and water and sewer into the growth areas? And now almost the leading conversation is how do we get digital infrastructure to these areas? Because you can't envision a future in our community that's not a connected future, whether it's the services we use in our home or the services it's going to take to manage a growing community. From adaptive streetlights, we heard from Mayor Moore, to smart charging of vehicles. Middle Tennessee Electric founded the first electric vehicle club in Middle Tennessee because they realized that's a component of our future, and you have to have a smart grid to have a smart community. And we're proud to power all these services. Mindy, you asked, what's broadband? And it's not just internet, right? That's a big component. Project Unite is making sure every single member gets access to internet, but we're building a network to support the smart grid of the future, the smart community of the future, and we're connecting every single cell site along the way. You can't have a cell site without a fiber connection, right? The providers will not put their equipment on a cell site unless there's a fiber connection to the base of that tower. And so we're doing all of that as we build this and take a very comprehensive approach to our expansion. So Project Unite, I think y'all are just making me feel like I'm switching. Somebody else is hitting the advance button. But before I talk about the impact Project Unite's had, we've all seen these stats, and I won't harp on it too long. The one that jumps out to me the most is telehealth. I mean, that was really, there wasn't a whole lot of applications for telehealth pre-pandemic, and the increase in the usage of telehealth, and especially in our rural communities where you don't have easy access to hospitals, has just exploded. And you think about a life-critical infrastructure, having that connection where you can you can see your doctor, you can exchange stats with your doctor, you can upload your Apple Watch heart rate monitor. Really, really important. We all know keeping our kids online, although I much prefer to have my kids in school, keeping them online is really important. And quite honestly, still the number one usage on our network is just surfing and streaming. And sadly, we see a lot of that happening between 11 and 2 in the morning is still peak traffic. So we don't touch our network and work on it until about after 2 in the morning and before 5 in the morning, because that's the only time people take a break nowadays. If we can advance the next slide. So Project Unite, this is our combined footprint. I know it's probably hard to see, but this, from our standpoint, there's about 400,000 homes and businesses in this the area we've defined for our Middle Tennessee service area, served by Middle Tennessee Electric, and in the south, Duck River Electric. And Project Unite to date has brought service to 17,000 homes that didn't have access to broadband in Middle Tennessee to date. So that's pretty amazing to think about. There were 17,000 residents that still didn't have access to broadband, and we know we're going to talk about what's next in Williamson County. There's another 3,000 homes that are going to get service from this grant we're going to talk about here in just a second. But primarily we've been serving the middle portion of Tennessee. Now, Williamson County, we were so excited, and I'll brag on Mayor Anderson, when Governor Lee put about $500 million into the broadband accessibility program, he made it a priority to see every single Tennessean get access to broadband. He felt like this investment in digital infrastructure would position the state of Tennessee to be a leader in the United States on the next critical infrastructure. So they put $500 million, while many states were putting $10 or $20 million in. He put $500 million into this program. And I'm pleased to say we, United Middle Tennessee Electric, are the largest recipient of grant funds at well over $50 million of that program, with a lot of it coming to Williamson County. Now, Chris and I met with Mayor Anderson. Paul Webb's in the room. He was really one of the leaders of the broadband initiative in Williamson County. And in the first meeting, when we were talking about the program and what kind of projects we wanted to pursue, Mayor Anderson said, "No, I love it. This is something we've got to do, but don't come back until you have a plan that sees every single Williamson County resident who still lacks it with service." And so we were really invigorated by that meeting, because Mayor Anderson, as you all know, just thinks really big. And so he said, don't come back until you have a program and have a presentation that sees every remaining Williamson County resident without access getting it. And so that's exactly what we did. We came back with about a $20 million investment program, 70% funded by the state, and the remainder split evenly between Williamson County and United Communications, to see the last remaining 3,000 homes and businesses get access to 100% fiber. And that's really important. If you think about it, 3,000 homes, that's still a lot in Williamson County. You know, that's 10,000 residents that are still struggling and are driving up the road to get online, who can't work from home. We hear from them every day. So we're really excited about that program and appreciate the support of the county on the matching funds piece. And so you can see here, primarily it's, the entire western half of the county still lacks access to broadband here in 2022. The yellow line coming through here is a significant investment that Middle Tennessee Electric decided to make. That's our broadband highway. That's our backbone. We invested over $10 million into a rural backbone, and nobody's doing this, right? Most backbones are coming through Franklin, or coming through Murfreesboro, or coming through Nashville. And we said we cannot serve our rural residents if we don't have this highway to connect all those fiber connections to. So even before the grants came out, we made a decision to invest in this highway so that we could begin chipping away at the rural areas of the county. So we're really proud. We just finished that backbone up, and it's going to allow us to hit the ground running with our grant work in the state. And lastly, you heard it from Chris at the beginning of the presentation. Once the dust settles, we think there's a decade of massive digital infrastructure investment in the state of Tennessee that's going to be undertaken, and we're going to be leaders of that. But we keep telling people, when the dust settles on making this investment, you still have to have broadband service on top of it. And this is where we hang our hat. Just look us up online. Everybody does. You won't find an internet provider. You'll find most of the internet providers have Google scores in the 2s. We're a 4.6. And more importantly, we drill down on what's called a Net Promoter Score. Every morning, our management team starts the day off with a summary of the reviews from the prior day. And Net Promoter Scores are on a range of minus 100 to 100. So minus 100 means 100% of your customers wouldn't recommend you to their neighbor. 100 means every single one of your customers would recommend you to the neighbor. Most internet providers in the United States are somewhere in the minus 40 to 0. Some of the best brands, Ritz-Carlton, Disney, are in the 70s and 80s, and that's right where we are. When we started this, we were at 50, and we really challenged the team. What are the little things we can do to differentiate ourselves? And over 2 years, we've moved ourselves up into the best, having the kind of scores with the best brands in the country, and this is what we're very proud of. We're going to take care of our members, make sure this service works in the home, right? A lot of providers can build the service to the side of the house. We used to say, it's pretty easy to take a connection to the side of the house, making it work in all the corners of the house and in the backyard and everywhere customers need it, in their garage where they put their office. That's what our team prides themselves on. And we didn't miss a beat during the pandemic. We didn't have a day off. Our demand for our services doubled overnight, and our team stepped up and was working in the midst of all that uncertainty.
And if I may, William, that was what you're seeing right now, excuse me, is among the primary reasons that made the decision for Middle Tennessee Electric to make the majority acquisition of United, the purchase, easy, because they had the same values that we had, and the focus on service. So again, one of the many reasons that we made that decision. And William, part of the beauty, and you touched on it just a moment ago, but part of the beauty of the investments that we're making with fiber, and part of the beauty of the idea of grant monies from the state going to this effort, is that you get a double return on your investment for that money. because we're building fiber networks, we're bringing broadband, but also there's the dual benefit on the electric side for smart grid. Now, when William showed that slide a while ago with the yellow highway, the fiber highway he mentioned, that highway is and there it is, that highway is connecting all of our substations in Williamson County. So we are building, along with United, a communications network that connects all the pieces of our electric system as we continue to evolve a smart grid. What is smart grid? So I won't spend much time talking about that, but it speaks to this future of automation and digitalization that William spoke to. We're looking at the future, years from now, of smart home. We're seeing some of that kind of stuff right now. But for us as an electric system, it's about, for example, the idea of a self-healing grid, where the system knows instantaneously where a fault or an outage occurs, and the system itself can reroute power at that moment and restore service to as many as possible. You still got to go out and fix it, right? If there's an animal incident or a tree on a line or a storm, whatever, you still have to fix the problem. But the system itself restores power instantaneously to as many as possible. Whereas today, that typically takes 30 minutes to an hour or so to make those determinations. So that's the kind of future we're talking about, bringing world-class service on every level because of this technology, Mayor Anderson, and this digitalization. So, cool stuff.
So when we look at this map and we see the red zones and the blue zones, just remind me again what service levels we're talking about at this point.
Yeah, thanks, Mindy. So United's been around for 75 years, actually. It was founded in Marshall County in Chapel Hill, Tennessee. And much like electric cooperatives, there were about 1,000 of these independent telephone companies at the time that were established to bring service to rural areas that didn't have phone service. So, we talk a lot about lack of broadband now and all these pockets that still don't have access to broadband. The same problem existed 75 years ago, and so a bunch of local farmers, bankers founded United Communications with a loan from the U.S. Department of Agriculture to bring telephone service. And so that's really, dating back 75 years in our DNA, bringing service to unserved areas. 10 years ago, we started bringing broadband to many areas. We were the first fiber provider in Middle Tennessee. I think the town of Nolensville is the first town in the state of Tennessee to get a fiber connection long before people knew what fiber was. And so the red areas, Mindy, are where we've already built fiber. We traditionally we didn't cross the highway. Our network is very focused on serving between the highways in Middle Tennessee. And so we've made a lot of progress in the eastern part of the county and the Nolensville, College Groves area. We've almost filled in that whole gap in Arrington now that all these farms are turning into beautiful neighborhoods. And so our service footprint has primarily been on the eastern side, but because of these grants and our partnership with the county, we're now building almost the entire western footprint. And so you can get service today from us in the eastern half of the county, and we're getting closer and closer to the very western edge every day.
And so we're talking about building a fiber network, building a highway, basically, for this. Is somebody going to come in and overbuild that highway? Is that a possibility? I think that's something we talk about, business and competition. So is that opportunity that someone may come in and overbuild that highway?
Yeah, absolutely. We think in decades at Middle Tennessee Electric and United, and we think this, once you build a network, you can't move it. And so we're blessed with great markets. It's a great environment. I live in Williamson County, and people always ask me, it's a great place to raise a family, it's a great place to run a business. And so we're very comfortable making tens and tens of millions of dollars of digital infrastructure investment in this community for all those reasons. But yes, we're in a competitive business, right? We don't just compete with other wired connections, we compete with wireless connections. And Elon Musk now decided he wanted to compete with us in their satellite connections. So we're competing against the richest man in the world, at least yesterday anyway. But we do, there's a reason these areas haven't had service, in 75 years is because all the big public companies have decided they can't make a business case and don't want to serve, the areas that aren't very dense. From our standpoint, every member, regardless of where they live, should get access to broadband. And we'll be bringing competitive choice to the areas that do. We're not just building, when we build this, we're not skipping over people that already have service. We're going to build to everybody when we build to the unserved areas. And we're finding people, because of local customer service, better customer service, and faster 100% fiber, are switching to us. So we're the ones competing right now. There's always a risk that somebody else will come in, but we think with great customer service, that risk goes away.
So the county's continuing to grow, and give Rogers a mic. The county's continuing to grow into more rural areas. We're seeing subdivisions in places that I think we never thought we'd see subdivisions, some places in the county. So how will this work together to make sure that those areas are served when their new subdivisions are built in more rural areas?
I think the short answer to that is, as Chris indicated in his opening remarks, and you did too, that we deal with the word infrastructure now, and we think of roads and water and sewer, et cetera. And the new conversation is going to be about fiber and broadband. I am a little selfish in that, from the standpoint of talking to these gentlemen as well as other companies, it's about providing a safe place also for our public safety. It's for those firemen, it's for those law enforcement officers, it's for our ambulance that is operated out of Williamson Medical that can now do blood transfusions on the way to the hospital, not wait till you get to the hospital, one of those few avenues. And so it's all of this technology that our county, and trying to minimize how we look at growth, but have quality growth for those individuals that choose to move to Williamson County, and particularly to the county area. Many of you wouldn't know this, but both of these gentlemen kind of, if you look out 5 and 10 years, the whole model is going to change of how we deliver not only power from TVA, and we're blessed to have one of the best power companies in the entire world right here. It's low cost. It's we need some rain, no question about it, to help the dams. But at the end of the day, a lot of businesses move here. We haven't seen them necessarily in Williamson County, but if you go out into West Tennessee, one of those contributing factors was low cost of power and how you get that power there. And we see it in Rutherford County. We see it in Wilson County. Our model just doesn't happen to be into the manufacturing side. Ours is more into headquarters and mid-type businesses. But we can't do that without these two gentlemen and the other suppliers out there. I know I'm kind of pushing or talking about United, but we've had a successful run with AT&T and Comcast and Charter and these other companies too. These gentlemen and their firms, and particularly Middle Tennessee Electric, they're going to be all over our county. So I think an interesting question that needs to be thrown at Chris and to William is, what does it look like 5 years out there, in 10 years? I can't imagine driving a smart car from Little Texas or Kingfield without some kind of technology, but there are many places in our county that are going to benefit from the services these companies are bringing, and hats off to all the hard work that they are putting in. So what's it going to look like, Chris, in 5, 10 years? I mean,
I can't wait to hear what I have to say. No. So, well, as far as and William and I have challenged each other with this idea. You know, what does it look like in 20 years? And we think about 20 years in our past, and most of us probably didn't have a smartphone in our pocket, but I bet we all do now. Some kind of technology has come that far that quickly. So when we think about this enabling technologies that William and I and the companies that we're so honored to lead bring to bear, of course, electricity fundamentally, but then fiber connections with high-speed internet and low-latency communication networks, it sets the stage for so many possibilities. Excuse me. I think I'm catching your cold, Emily. But
that's bad.
But so many possibilities with what we call think about the smart homes. How many things are automated now? But in 20 years, how many more things will be automated then? Now I want to, and I'll ask William to speak and get his opinion. But Rogers, you mentioned electric vehicles a while ago, and that's something that we're paying very close attention to. And we want to be responsive. We want to be responsive to our members, the questions they have. But that is a market that will and is maturing. And it's going to take a while to mature. So I bet somebody wants to ask the question, and I'm happy to talk after. We may be taking questions, I don't know, but happy to talk about the idea of, okay, if everybody gets an EV, what's it going to do to the grid? That's a question we hear a lot. And what I would reassure you with is that we have a great network in place right now on the electric side with TVA's help, of course. Rogers alluded to that. But we have good capacity now, but we have plenty of time to respond to the evolution of this market. It's not going to happen overnight. It's happening relatively quickly, but it's not going to happen overnight. So we have time to respond to that market. But it brings a lot of exciting possibilities when you think about your car being connected to your home, your car potentially being a backup source of power for your home, things that you could do in your home, all the electric devices that might be able to talk to each other, and you be able to and do things without you having to think about them or putting forth effort. Just the cool stuff, like you mentioned the garage door opener a while ago, Rogers, and my wife bought one of those little vacuum cleaners that drives the dog crazy, but that cleans the house by itself. That's just the cusp. That's just the beginning of possibilities for the home and the neighborhood of the future. But the technologies that we're bringing to bear will enable those possibilities, William.
Yeah, Chris, and I think that sort of feeds back into the quality of the network we're building. A lot of people think about fiber and they think about very, very fast internet speeds, and we do that. We lead the country. I think we were voted the fastest internet provider in the state of Tennessee for a couple years in a row now. But one of the other things that we're doing when we design this network is this low latency. So if you think about it, it's how much capacity you have, and fiber is awesome, but it's also how fast does it communicate. And when you talk about things like a grid healing itself, or your home switching from your connection to Middle Tennessee Electric to your battery packs either in the garage or from the car, it takes an instantaneous switch so you don't have issues with the power. And so this, think about it, the communication is sub-millisecond on a fiber network. And so adaptive street light can change signals, faster than a snap, and the same with the grid. So that's really the future of a lot of this automation. Is it actually doesn't take as much capacity as people think, but it takes instantaneous communication with no buffer. I think a lot of people, Thursday Night Football is the latest big demand on our networks now that it's streaming only on Amazon Prime, and the amount of bandwidth in 4K that it's put on the networks in the United States, there's lots of complaints of buffering, right? And so you really need a network, what we call an enterprise class network, there's no buffer whatsoever, sub-millisecond kind of communications. And, we can see it, we can already see the changes Mayor Anderson's talking about in the kind of questions our technical support and our field team gets in the home, the kind of devices they're asking us to help them connect, right? We're connecting their smokers and their grills in the corner of their yard and making sure they're staying connected so they don't burn their meat. We're connecting robotic mowers in the front yard. And so the amount of devices and the way people are using technology is changing really fast, and we're seeing that in our own technical support and field services organization. Spending a lot more time making the internet work really well and not just providing that physical connection.
Can you make my printer work at the office? Because I can't. I don't know about that. So, Chris, you talked about that there had to be legislative changes and there had to be changes to regulations. Thinking about that for the future, does there need to be further changes in legislation, or what you all are allowed to do to be more competitive?
Yeah, I don't know about that, Mindy. I don't think so, but I think one thing I would certainly say is that, I mentioned 5 years ago that they changed through the leadership of then Governor Haslam and our legislators, and our legislators here were extremely supportive, and I appreciate that. But I have to just thank the leadership of the state of Tennessee in this effort, and that includes, of course, now William's mention of Governor Lee, and the further grant funding that's being put forward to make this possible. Now, and to me, Tennessee is you got to hold them up there among the very best in the country at paying close attention to this issue and wanting to solve it for its citizens. We had a plan without any help to fix this problem. But, we're talking now 3 years versus 15. So we were going to fix it, and we were determined to fix it. But like William said, some of the rural areas, and it's like a kind of a BB gun shot. It's not like one pocket here, one pocket there. It's kind of scattered. And some of those areas are very challenging and costly. So the grant funding that's being made available helps us to accelerate those plans, and that's going to be a benefit to everybody. It's going to be a benefit to those people, of course, but kind of the rising tide lifts all ships. We've got so much going for us, folks, in Williamson County and in Middle Tennessee. I know you know that, but there's just so much opportunity here, and with TVA's help, we are an economic development aid to the county and to the city, to the cities that we serve. And again, there's so much opportunity with regard to that. Fiber and broadband now is becoming one of those questions that businesses, that organizations are looking to have answers provided to them as they look at a community. So all these things are very important. But I think I primarily want to say kudos, especially to the state of Tennessee, for their leadership legislatively in making these things possible. Would you agree, William?
Yeah, absolutely. And don't forget, Chris, the Williamson County Commission passed a broadband-ready community ordinance. And that was really important if you think about creating an environment where people want to invest in infrastructure. It really allows you to streamline the permitting and a lot of the administrative hurdles a lot of providers like us would go through to get broadband out to the corners of the county. And so not just, that happened before, the grants came out. And so Williamson County was already thinking, what can we do to encourage investment in this county? And they passed that ordinance. And then that really positioned us well to get these grants and allows us to build our networks a lot faster. And so, at the state level, the county level, all the things are in place to really, like you said, accelerate this from being a 15 or 20 year plan to being a 2 to 3 year plan.
And we serve a lot of great counties and work with a lot of great county leaders. But I can assure you, and he won't want me saying this, but no one was more intentional and smart about the leadership they brought to bear with this effort for his county than Mayor Anderson was. And yeah, absolutely. And so I would be remiss if I didn't say, again, we have a lot to be thankful for. Williamson County, I consider myself a citizen of all the counties I serve. I live in Rutherford County, but Williamson County has so much going for it. Count your blessings, folks. There's so much, and it doesn't happen by accident. So many reasons for that, but you have fantastic leadership here. We heard from Mayor Moore before, and with Mayor Anderson, just so much to be thankful for Williamson Countyans.
So if people want to learn more about Project Unite and maybe where they are in the process, there's a slide, and we'll have this as part of our presentation that you'll be able to access, but you can go and learn more about that. And William, thanks for having offices in Berry Farms and being a Williamson County business. And but we really appreciate this lesson on what broadband really is. So it's been a great program this morning, and I appreciate it so much. And it's good to hear. I was going to ask that timetable question. It's good to hear that it goes from being a 15 to 20 year plan to being a 2 to 3 year plan. So we really are excited about that. So in a couple years, we're going to have you back, and we'll be talking about some other smart thing that's happened because of this great program. So thanks so much this morning. And thanks to everybody for being here. As you know, I'm feeling a little under the weather, so I did forget to play the Williamson Medical Center video, and it's a really good one. But we'll send that out as part of our follow-up to this event. I'd love to encourage you to look for the ways to RSVP for the volunteer awards that'll be right here on November 15th. Nominations, we're wrapping those up today. We got 4 overnight Now they're late, but we'll still take one today if you want to send that to us. And you can see that on our website, franklintomorrow.org. And then we also have in November, we'll have our Frank Talks. We have 2 more, one in November and December, before we come back in January for Breakfast with the Mayors again, that last Tuesday in January. So thank you so much for being here and supporting Franklin Tomorrow and our community, and go out and make it a great day.